drinking at home, if it's something really good, I know that I've reached my limit when my dog is looking at me like, no, mom, no, no.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to All Beer Inside Quarantine editions of the episode. Joining us this week, we have Erika out in British Columbia. She's also known as Beer Me Canada on Instagram.
Hey, guys.
Hi, thanks for taking time out of your day to speak with us about your beer passion today. Really appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you asking me.
Oh, awesome. As we do on almost all shows, we're going to share a virtual beer. Let my audience know what you're drinking.
Okay, so I just actually cracked open the Twin Sails, their newest 2 straws. It's their milkshake IPA series, and this one is with Papaya, which I've only had 2 sips. And for anybody in BC that they know their milkshake IPA series, you know it's going to be a gooder. We got it at my work. We only got 2 flats, so I was lucky to grab some before it was all gone.
Awesome. I am enjoying from the Alchimiste or l'Alchimiste in français from Brasserie Laurentide. It is a white stout maple syrup tart.
Ooh.
So it's coming in at 5.4% ABV, and it's got a nice long French thing that I'm not going to translate right now. And we do on the show, we do a virtual toast.
Cheers.
A toast. Oh, I got it.
Nice.
That's good Canadian maple syrup there.
Actually, that's cool because like maple syrup wise, I think the only other beer I've had with maple syrup, it was Great Lakes, their barley wine that was aged in, I think, maple syrup barrels, or it has maple syrup. I don't like barley wine, but that one, that definitely changed my mind.
There was some local place we have, they're called, they're Sugar Shack, so Cabana Sucre. And one of our early interviews, Benedict's, Tico, his crew, did a heated barley wine for an outdoor like maple syrup festival in my neighborhood of Verdun. It was awesome. And I'm just like, I didn't know warm barley wine would work. This is fantastic. Plus it's cold, so it kind of
it'd be perfect.
Yeah, so big shout out to Benelux and Tico, and I look forward next year to bringing back the outdoor sugar shacks in my neighborhood. I already kind of sent you the list question, but here's how I start. What's your beer story?
A beer story. I was trying to think of what my actual story is. I mean, I've worked in it, like I can say that I work in the industry, but I don't because I worked at a liquor store. But I guess that's still in the industry. I have to have product knowledge, not just beer, but hard bar. My product knowledge for wine isn't so great because I don't drink wine. But I've worked at where I am for 2 years, and before that I was at another liquor store for 5 years. But for a good span of 10-ish years, I didn't work in the industry. But my start of trying to dabble into drinking actual good stuff other than Canadian or something, unless you have no money, I worked at Blarney Stone, which is in Gastown here in Vancouver, when I was 23, and I was a barback and busser. So I got to be the person that got to change the empty kegs and bus tables and mop up gross stuff in the girls' bathroom. So that would be the beginning of my my craft beer industry little journey. But then definitely working my job before the last liquor store that I worked at, going home and waiting at the bus stop for a while. It was right by a private liquor store in Vancouver, so I'd go in and buy a couple bombers, or even going to like punk shows and not just buy, like get a nice pint of, like, definitely the first one would be Driftwood Brewing, their Fat Tug. So that would be a beer where like the whole little saying with friends is like, oh, did you get tugged last night? It's like, yeah, I down to 4 pints really fast, and the next thing I know, I blacked out because I don't remember the rest of the night. So
yeah, sometimes drinking craft can be dangerous because you're like, oh, these are delicious. What do you mean they're triple IPAs?
But also they don't have it on the tab as they're like pouring it, unless you know the beer. You don't know the percentage, and it's like, oh, this is going down really easy.
Yeah, it's those deceiving ones. It's the 10% stouts and triple IPAs that you're like, it tastes like I'm drinking a delicious juice, but I'm heavily intoxicated now.
This is 10%. Shit.
Yeah,
okay.
So, yeah, that's always fun times. I mean, you've been doing your beer Instagram for a while now. I last checked, you're at over 160 weeks, which is quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually started it because my previous work, before new owners took over, the previous owners did not want social media for the store. And I'm like, okay, this is crazy. Not only because the amount of awesome craft beer that they had, but they just didn't want social media. I'm like, but why? I'm like, this is the time. Like, people need to know. So that's why I started my beer page, to kind of showcase beers I would get at my work. And also I could get away with taking photos at work and not getting in trouble or anything. But then they sold it, and the new owners that took over, I showed them what I was doing, and they let me start social media for them. So I started a Facebook page and Instagram page for the store, and just went from there. And I kind of let back on my page because I was focusing so much on work. But then I realized that that's just work, and I gotta actually also show my passion, and like I like to say, it's my homework.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my product knowledge. So if I bring something home, I gotta know how it tastes and stuff, because I gotta know how to, recommend something to regular customers, which I love now at my job now at Brewery Creek, that a regular customer comes in, it's like, oh wait, last weekend they picked up this and they talked about how much they loved it, like a certain IPA or sour. It's like, oh wait, we just got this one in, you might want to try it. And then the following week they'll come in and be like, oh, dude, that one you recommended last weekend, freaking awesome. What else do you have? Yeah. So that just keeps stuff like that, just keeps me going with doing my page, but also the fact that I enjoy what I drink too. So
yeah, no, that's super important, and that's great to hear. Is that you're kind of, it seems like you're definitely ahead of that last company where it's like, hey, social media is very important right now. Why aren't you like?
Oh yeah, no, that was even better too, because when I was at my old work and Brewery Creek, whoever's doing their social media at the time posted that they were hiring, I applied for the job. And of course, right away, they were like, are you sure you want to do the long commute? I'm like, no, I do, because this is a place I want to work at, because their craft beer selection is awesome. Spirit selection, also craft cider selection is freaking awesome. Had my interview. I can say it went with flying colors, to the point that I get hired and then I had to give my 2 weeks notice at work. And as I always feel uncomfortable anytime you change a job, but this was one job where I could not wait to leave and then start the new one. Yeah, it was the best decision I made, because then also in the past 2 years, the amount of stuff that I've gotten to try that I know I would never be able to try, stuff like Cantillon, my work gets it. A lot of places don't.
Yeah.
And if we get in a certain allocation, they will keep a few bottles back for staff if the staff want to try it. So my cellar, which is my pantry, I have a bottle in there that I got last year, and it says to not age more than 10 years. So for my 50th birthday, which is as of July, will be in 8 years, I am going to crack that open, pop the cork, and I'm going to enjoy it on my 50th birthday.
Nice.
If I can save it till then, but
yeah, that's for sure. I know due to the pandemic, I've been watching a lot of Instagram accounts. People are cracking open their cellars because they don't know if like COVID's going to get them, type of thing. So it's like,
so you
I
got to
better go
enjoy
through
the good
these.
stuff.
Yeah, I only recently started 2 years ago cellaring myself. I've started with the well, they're up there in the back, but the Nickelbrook Bastard series.
Don't know it.
So they do 3. There's called a Kentucky Bastard, a Whiny Bastard, and a Cafe del Bastardo. One is a coffee stout aged in, I can't remember. Kentucky Bastard is aged in Kentucky barrel stout, whiskey barrel stouts.
Oh, sweet.
And Whiny Bastard is aged in wine, some sort of wine barrels.
Probably, like, I would probably guess like a red wine, like a Merlot, or like, no, that's sweet.
They're all stouts. They're all 10%. And they're like, you can age them up to 3 years. So once I can finally get back together with my friends, once we're all vaccinated, I'm doing a flight where we're going to have a 2019, a 2020, and a 2021.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know. I think in my cellar right now, it's mostly stouts as well, because stouts is definitely a style that I love a lot because of the because you can have coffee stouts, you can have stout, like just also the aged in whiskey barrels. I think I think I saved one from Twin Sales, and it's Basil Hayden. I think Basil Hayden or some bourbon barrel. And they released it for the anniversary, not I want to say last year. And so I saved a can. I keep looking at it every single time I open the door to put something else in.
Yep.
I really want to crack it open. And I'm like, no, stay it a little longer, just a little longer.
Yeah, that's what I'm liking is a lot of these places are now putting the bottle inside a box so that you don't have to worry about it getting exposed to light on top of that. So obviously they know what they're doing to make me enjoy their beer even more. So
the amount of paper bags I also have in there, that also helps because then I don't see the bottle, so it won't tempt me to the point like, oh, I want to have that one. But also then I forget, and I went through it to gift one of my stouts to a friend that just finished her course at university. I'm gifting her. It was Barnside Brewing in Delta. They did a Grand Marnier rye stout. So good, like not really high crazy percentage, but so good that I was like, you know what? She finished a crazy course at university, and so she deserves something.
Yeah, that's awesome that you do that. So do you remember your first like couple of craft beers that you're like, this is it? This is what I'm drinking from now on?
Well, like I mentioned, it was definitely Fat Tug because it was going to punk shows and not wanting to drink something crappy, wanting to have a pint of something really good while I watch a show. And most of the times I went by myself too as I got older because it was a lot easier and I didn't like to get sloppy drunk, but granted, I would drink a lot of Fat Tugs and then get tugged and then end up at home and not remember how I got home. But like other beers, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't really consider it craft beer, but one other beer that meant a lot to me, like show wise and going out with friends and stuff, would be Red Stripe.
Okay.
So like Red Stripe, I also ended up I've got it tattooed on my thumb because that would be like the one other beer would be stubby. So it's the best beer to hold double fisted at a punk show or any show and just know that no one's going to spill the drink because you've got a good grip on the bottle. But those are definitely two beers. Because I was trying to think of other ones, but I mean, those are the ones that definitely started it. And then, I mean, from Fat Tug, then it would, of course, be a lot of Philip bombers. Like the Phillips, their Crooked Tooth and their Cricketer Tooth, their pumpkin beers would definitely be the first pumpkin beers that I tried. And it was just like, hey, dude, pumpkin and beer? Like, who would, do that? And then because the Crooked Tooth is just the pumpkin beer, and then Cricketer Tooth it's aged a little bit more. Like I wish I had the bottle, which yes, I still have the bottle. The artist in me kind of keeps bottles if the labels are really cool. So up in my room, I have a shelf that my whole room is lined with beer bottles. Yeah. And granted, nobody will see it, but you see behind me.
Yep.
My weird little window thing that has all the beer cans with the cool labels.
Yeah. So. Yeah, but personally, if and when I can become some sort of condo or homeowner, I am going to have my neat little like interview beer room where I'll be having beer bottles and stuff in the back instead of just I try and decorate things with books and DVDs and glasses and other things I have in the back. So once
I definitely lucked out to become a homeowner just because of my mom leaving me the townhouse. And now I'm like, now I get to, it's just weird to think that I can decorate how I want. I'm like, okay, it will most likely be your beer stuff. And then I also have dried plants hanging all over the place. So.
Well, I mentioned the dry plants, and I wanted to also mention this now. In your more recent post, you mentioned a lot about you put hop knowledge and the history of the hop in it, and we mentioned pre-show that you're actually growing hops as well.
I've got right now. I've only got 2 heads of hops, and I've got them at various stages. The first ones I got actually found randomly at a local nursery that I was not expecting to find hops there, but I got Cascade and Centennial. And grew them. Also, this was 4 years ago when I first got them. So, of course, my hop knowledge is still expanding and still getting better and better. But I did not know that it takes till the second year for the hops to grow. And I had some random customer try to give me knowledge about how I need to grow it and fertilize and stuff. But I'm like, I just want to grow it because as much as I would love to homebrew, I don't have the time. But I also use the plant to make natural dyes to dye fabric, or take like some of them will end up with a really big leaf. So then to do a monoprint from the leaf where you roll ink on the leaf and you print on the fabric is, I mean, it's weird that I waste the hops, but they go to a good cause. I make something with them, but
no, it's you're getting at your creativity, which is very important. So that's where it's coming from, is that it's growing your journey with all, whether it is just craft beer, craft cider, and obviously you're a coffee addict from what I've seen as well.
Oh yeah.
It's that creative in you that's your outlet. Like, this is my outlet. Then so
also learning that when I got the first hop plants and then like reading up on them, and then my mom gave me a plant book that actually had a hop section in there, and then learning that hop is related to the pot plant, much like pot, how it has so many strains. There's over 150 different strains of a hop plant. So learning that, and then also as drinking beer, part of me kind of wishes that I had started doing this earlier, but it's easy to say what kind of hop is in a beer that you're drinking in a post, but a lot of people don't know those flavor profiles for the hop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it does. I'm happy that I started doing it, but it kind of allows somebody to understand that not every single hop tastes the same.
Yeah.
And that's what I always tell customers too when they come in and ask them what they're looking for. Like, well, something that is not too hoppy. I'm like, well, all beers have hops in it.
Yeah.
Or like the customers that think like that craft beer is the only one that have hops in it. They're like, I don't want any of that frou-frou shit. It's like, well, okay, what are you looking for? Like flavor wise, something hoppy, something bitter. And then now I understand why a lot of people use the word dank. Like I hate using the word dank.
Yeah.
But when it comes to hazy IPAs, I understand dank is a really good description.
Yeah. My friends have given me a lot of crap about using crushable recently, because I'm like, dude, I could crush like 10 of these, because
it's so true though, because some of them you can only have one.
Yeah.
But there are those few when it's like a really high percentage, but it's got the perfect hop combo and just flavor wise, you could crush like 3 of them and forget that it's like 8%. And then no.
Yep. Yeah, that happened to me a couple of months ago, where I had it was a double IPA kind of night, and then it was me ending up on my floor at the end of the night, because I'm like, I'm really intoxicated for sitting at home drinking 4 tall cans of double IPAs. It's
I can at least say that drinking at home, if it's something really good, I know that I've reached my limit when my dog is looking at me like, no, mom, no. It's also, it's like I get the look like it's past their bedtime, or like, no. Like, oh, I guess I am a little drunk. Okay, let's go to bed.
That's great. It's your fur baby trying to make sure that mommy can wake up and take me for a walk in the morning. So.
Oh yeah, because no matter what time I go to bed, she has me up at 6:30 every morning. It's like, oh wait, you're hungover? I don't care.
When it comes to your Instagram with your description stuff, it's very like, I like the whole the crack, like you said, the crack, the smell, and then the first sip. I like where that came from. So what made you decide that?
So that came from, so at work, we sometimes get lucky enough to try something from wine or a cidery or even beer. And at work, we actually have a binder for tasting notes. So for staff that miss out on drinking something, we have tasting notes. So of course, it's really detailed at work, and I don't want to have it so detailed that it's just monotonous. People don't read it all, but it comes down to like, so you write what you're drinking, and so it's like what it looks like, and then smell. So like a beer, crack it open, or a bottle of wine, when you pour it, smell, like aromas. What's the first thing you get? And then also flavor. And then it also talks about mouthfeel, kind of like, is it really acidic? Is it carbonated? Is it really smooth? Is it thick? Just descriptions like that. So doing that at work, before I started doing all my posts, I would always think that, because I have on my 3rd notebook for keeping tasting notes. I kind of wish that I'd started it sooner, but I'm happy I did. for me, like, it's not just drinking, it is product knowledge, it's homework. So yes, I write the notes, and sometimes I take them to work and show everybody what I did and how I taste, like how it tastes and everything.
Does she want to make an appearance on camera?
I have a feeling that the roofers are still here, so they're making noise outside because she's been asleep at my feet the whole time. But yeah, it's just I like the description homework. So like homework notes, like how would you homework? You gotta take notes. So that is where it came from. I mean, I wish I did start it sooner, but
yeah, I'm the same way. I wish my craft beer journey had started in my early 20s, or even when I was drinking with the guys in an alleyway at 18 at CJAP. It's like, instead of drinking 40s of Colt 45 or Bull Max, I could have been enjoying like a pumpkin beer and then working towards something else. So
yeah.
I mean, with your knowledge and with your notebooks, do you ever see yourself doing like a Prud'homme or a Cicerone certification?
See, I was also thinking that too, to do a Cicerone and get certified and qualified and everything. But the more I looked into it and the work that, not just the work, but like studying, of course, it's like, everything that goes into beer and everything, I think it would take away my actual passion of tasting beer. Because yes, I take notes, but I don't want it to be the point that I take notes and like really break down a beer, talk about flavors and everything. I just want to enjoy the beer, hence why I only did the notes for. Oh my god,
it's okay.
And even if I yell at her right now, she's not going to come.
Awesome. So you did mention you don't brew your own beer, but have you, when it comes to either your social media or for work, have you collabed with a brewery on either a beer or a label or some sort of anything like that?
I haven't, and it would be really cool to. The only way I got close to collaborating on a label is so my work every year, even before I started working there, through their social media, they would do an April Fool's beer. So the April Fools before I started working, they collaborated with a local brewery and made up a fake label. So then the brewery shared it and the work shared it, to the point that people were actually thought, it's a real beer. But because of COVID, we can't really do that. It wasn't that easy. So work decided. So my two managers, they came up with the name, and then they came up with the what was to go into it. So they came to me and they're like, okay, so this is what we want to do. I was like, sweet, I'll use some of my stamps that I made and I'll make up a label and we'll make up a beer. And what we came up with was, where I wasn't expecting anybody to actually say anything about it, but we came up with was a beer called Awkward Nights. It's a durian and mint kolsch coming in at 4.8%. And so, of course, I looked up durian and everything. So I described it as savory notes of diced garlic and caramel with a lingering mint at the back of your throat. So I posted on my work social media, and customer comes in. I think it was the same day. Comes in, is like, oh, hey, I'm looking for this beer. I was like, no. He's like, no. I was like, no. He's like, oh, I shouldn't try it. I was like, no, dude, it was our April Fool's beer. It's not real. Even with his mask on, his face just went beet red. He's like, oh. He's like, I was looking forward to trying it. I'm like, yeah, I know. Sorry, no, it doesn't exist. And then somebody else messages the store's social media, be like, I'm in search of this. Do you guys still have it? It's like, no, it's not a real beer. Oh, it's not? I'm like, no, it's not. Sorry.
So now, if you were to collab, I'm going to kind of twofold this question. So it's, if I were to visit your area in BC, what are some breweries that you would suggest I would visit that you'd also love to collaborate with?
I was thinking about that, and breweries that have been part of, it's not, I just don't go there just for one beer kind of thing, because it's some kind of new release. But then also, before my mom passed, our days off consisted of visiting local breweries and sitting on patio, and she would try some and give me her flavor, what she thought of the beer. But one area out in Port Moody, Brewers Row, where you have so the first brewery would be Twin Sails Brewing. Then right next door, you've got Yellow Dog Brewing, and a little down the way you've got Parkside Brewing. A little further down the way, you've got Bakery Brewing. And a little further down the way, you've got Moody Ales. So that stretch on a summer's day, like on a weekend or any day off, definitely not weekends, because even pre-COVID, the lineups and the patios are small. But before COVID, it was awesome to go and just sit and be able to go along and most of the time not have a flight, but go and have a beer at every single location. And there's a food truck out in front of most of the spots. And you just have a good day. Like, so for my birthday one year, I did that. That would also a mistake because the amount of beer I drank at all those breweries, luckily I was not going home alone. I had a friend make sure that I got home safe, but like something like that. Or another thing, like I think in Toronto, you guys just got the Growler magazine. So it's like the beer guide.
Yeah, well, that's Toronto. I'm in Montreal, Quebec.
Oh, sorry.
So, yeah.
Sorry. But in Toronto, they got it.
Yeah.
So out here, I want to say it's BC where it started.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like an awesome little guide to open. And of course, there's the maps of like where all the breweries are. So before that, it was always East Van. So you do the East Van brewery crawl. So yeah, can't afford to like get the van tour and stuff, but get a few friends, you walk to a few breweries, hit them up. So like Powell Brewing, Slow Hand Brewing, Andina Brewing, another one along the way. Callister Brewing. Callister Brewing is a really good one. Then of course you got Bomber, and then across them there's, oh man, I've like forgotten all the ones in East Van.
I gotta say I'm pretty jealous. Like our downtown we're pretty close for some of the breweries, but then some are just like miles away. For my personally, like you were saying, for your birthday, you went all out and you hit like brewery. So for my 40th, I wanted to do 40 tasters for my 40th birthday. It ended up being 42 because I lost count somewhere, and then I checked my Untappd. I'm like, whoops. But we ended up going to 9 brew pubs or brew pubs within walking distance. It's like I love being able to do this kind of stuff. So hopefully next year
on a nice day, just to get out and just walk.
Yeah. I mean, for my age group, it'll be around like late August that most of my age group will be double vaccinated here in Quebec. So hopefully by then stuff will start reopening and it'll be safer to go out and,
and not just that, but also like I do miss beer festivals.
Yes.
So like a whole summer of no beer festivals. And then this year so far, nothing. And it probably won't be anything until everyone's like fully vaccinated. But it sucks because it's also, I mean, yeah, festivals are awesome to go get to drink some beer, but then also socialize with people that you follow on your beer Instagram and they follow you and you don't really see them in, real life, but to go be like, oh, hey, you're, I could be like the person like name drop right now, but I'm not going to.
No, but I've already said once it's safe to travel again, when I can, get up to Vancouver, I want to meet yourself, the Beertles. I believe you probably know them. The 4 gentlemen, the Beertles, Spilly Drinker, everybody I've spoken with in BC. I want to head out there. I want to conglomerate. When I head to Toronto, I want to meet everybody I met in Toronto.
Yeah.
When I can finally do this in Montreal again, I want to just all hang us out. And even if we do a bottle share in a park or something, I want to see people again, but I also want to not catch a deadly disease that's going to shred my lungs. So it's
I know, actually mentioning that, what I love though is that, so I've had my beer page since 2013. So the amount of people that I have been following since then that I actually still know today, so like Instagram wise, like the Beertles, like those 4 dudes, I know them. Like I sometimes when I see their posts, I like always kind of chuckle to myself to think like, I kind of love it that I know them. I've met them outside of Instagram, off of like social media. And of course there's always like those handful of other, I want to say the younger ones.
Yes.
Because I always do feel quite old when it comes to some things, but it's just like, it'd be cool to meet them in person.
Yeah.
But then also the older version of me is like, oh no, I can't be that social anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're both still, like you said, when you told me you're 42, I'm like, what? Like, because we realistically, I'm 41, you're 42. We still look like we're in our early 30s. So
Oh no, I luckily still pass for it too.
yeah,
so.
yeah. So it's like, oh, at least I could get away with pretending to hang out with these people. I just get a hangover a little worse the next day than they do. So
oh yeah. They one day they will know what it's like to have a real hangover. Yeah.
So like I said, I want to travel across Canada kind of as a beercation of my own. I always ask this. I add this now when it's safe to travel again, when it's safe to get in that cylindrical metal tube of 200 people breathing recycled air. A couple of beer vacations you'd love to go on. One where I have to go back to work and I can only spend so much money. And then two, I won the lottery. I'm leaving for like wherever for a month. What are those two like beercations?
Well, I mean, that's the one frustrating thing is that with work, I get to get my hands on so many great beers that to the point that it's like, okay, so what are ones I know? One, if I could travel somewhere and just leave work, take off work for a month, it literally would be to go back up to Alaska and try all those breweries up there. Excuse me, because like part of me kind of wishes that I was still up there of drinking age even before I moved down here, to know that those breweries are up there, like Alaska Brewing, and then there's one in Anchorage.
Probably Anchorage.
Also not just Alaska, but Yukon, like Winterlong Brewing. We carry them at work, and to know that they were in Whitehorse. And when I was a kid and we drove down here, we went through Whitehorse. And it's just to think that if I was old enough, I could have stopped and been like, hey mom, let's get a beer. But yeah, that would definitely be, and I wouldn't fly up there. I would literally do the same thing, drive from here up there and hit any brewery along the way. If along the highway, if we went a certain way, hit up a whole bunch of breweries and just taste them as you're like driving up the Alaska highway. That would be the best road trip. Yeah. But as for something a little closer, I don't know, because like you were saying, the amount of breweries that I have like at my fingertips in BC, in like just Vancouver, Lower Mainland, it's kind of hard. But I'm also really close to the border. So if that, it would be to go across the border and see, do a Google search. No, if it's not just a brewery, but just any liquor store or anything to grab some stuff that I would not be able to get over here. I think that's definitely what it'd be. If not that, then definitely go to Oregon and do a little tour.
Yeah, I know that a lot of fellow British BC people are like, they pretty much travel downwards all the way to like San Diego and then just come back up.
Yeah.
So
which I never got to do. Like that too. It's like if I could, I would. But I don't think I would ever be able to afford that. But it'd be on the beer bucket list. Yeah.
So you also do like greeting cards by yourself. What kind of gave you that idea?
I don't share it a lot on my beer Instagram, but I showed a bit. But my background, like I have an art background. I went to art school, but I dropped out because I didn't want to have to write papers and go to lectures. I was there for the art. And it was just bugging me that I was spending more time writing papers than making art. So dropped out of art school, wasn't inspired for the longest time. And then before getting back into working in the industry, I actually worked at tattoo shops. I didn't tattoo, but I got to work counter and be around artists and got inspired to get back into doing art. And then it was more stippling pieces. So I did dots on dots and did drawings. But then when I left there and moved back home for reasons not of my own, but to help out my mom, I found my old toolbox from art school and had all my printmaking tools in it. And I got back into it. And that was almost 10 years ago. And I haven't looked back since. And I make my own stamps. I block print them. And I have a lot of fun doing it, especially that it's an art where I can do that and drink a beer and have homework at the same time and still do fun stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Like I said, it's getting your creative side and being the social media guru for the, I want to say, so it's Brewery Creek liquor store. I
Well, it's Brewery
keep wanting
Creek
to
liquor
say
store.
Greek because that's how I spelt it on my notes on the side. I put a G instead of a C. So
No, yeah,
it's,
Brewery Creek, because what like a lot of people in Vancouver will know that that area of Brewery Creek, way back when, is where like the first brewery opened up in BC. Which happens to be, I didn't know until a bit ago when I was doing some work trivia for a giveaway for work. Vancouver Brewery, if I remember correctly, that is actually now in the building where Main Street Brewing is, which is kind of
okay.
cool that historically, even like after that brewery, a whole bunch of other things. I think before Main Street took over, it was a like a automotive garage or something. But then Main Street took it over. It's kind of cool that it started off as a building for a brewery and now a brewery is finally back in there. But back in the day, there was a creek that went up there. So that's where everything was shipped back and forth. So like hops, bar, like no, yeah, I was kind of hoping, searching to see if there was a book to be like the history of Vancouver breweries or Brewery Creek. There isn't a specific book, but there's some cool articles and stuff. But I think a specific book needs to be written so people know exactly the history. And that the reason why we're called Brewery Creek is because of that history.
I might suggest Jordan St. John. He did write The Lost Breweries of Toronto, so maybe drag him out to Vancouver and have him start working on a book out there too.
I know. Yeah, somebody needs to do it.
Yeah, I've got no other questions. This has been a fantastic talk. I really, really appreciate you speaking with us today.
Like, I won't lie, I was really nervous because I know when I eventually listen to the podcast, I'm gonna hate the sound of my own voice. But I also know that when I actually talk about something that I'm really into, it's really easy to talk about it, much like it is at work. Like people at work wouldn't know that I'm a very shy person, but when I am passionate about something, like my art, printmaking, and my natural dyes, and then craft beer as well, that I could honestly talk nonstop about it, to the point that sometimes I'm like, oh, sorry, I'll just tone back a bit. What about yourself? Like, how are things with you? But
awesome. So if you have anything to promote or any social media, let people know how they can find you.
I could say my only social media would be Beer Me Canada, all one word, lowercase. I could promote my personal one, but if you follow my beer one, you'll find my personal one. It's just I surprisingly put more on my beer one than my personal one. My art, it's just weird. I don't promote my art as much as I should, but I'm in beer, around beer, craft cider all day, every day. So it's easy to promote that stuff. And then of course my work, Brewery Creek, which is also at Brewery Creek, their Instagram. I do their social media. So part of my job, I get to take photos of beer and then write their write-ups and have fun doing it. And sometimes be like, I cannot believe this is part of my job. But yeah, those are the two main social medias that I am on every day, all day. So
perfect. So we're going to add all that in the show notes. As for us, at All Beer Inside everywhere. Myself at Killer Carpe Diem. If you'd like to follow me, it's mostly about beer and horror movies. That's a future project of my own. As for the show, we're hoping to add another show by year 2, which is coming up soon, and merch on the way. As for us, as we say at the end of all episodes, drink craft, not crap.
Yes, very much. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much.
Thank
I really
you
appreciate it.
for inviting me. No, this was awesome.